La 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 la. Me. Right. I'll probably click on. Let me just have a little burp. On me. Perfect. Hi. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm not particularly well shaven. Bit rough. It's very hot today. Tell you that. I think I've still got a little bit of alcohol in me from the bar citizen last weekend. I did drink a horrendous amount without eating. I don't know what was going on. Well, I mean, quite literally. I hope everyone is doing well. We've got various things I want to talk about today, but obviously take questions from chat. Is the main sort of thing we do here. So if you've got any questions you'd like to ask about Star Citizen, about current events, about me, about YouTube, about mental health, stuff like that, preferably Star Citizen more related, just because that's more my specialist subject other than me. Pretty good at me as well. But just question in brackets and then sort of ask away, and we'll talk about it. Captain Mur, or Commander Mur, sorry. Didn't get your rank confused, misrank you. Thank you very much for the Prime sub, genuinely appreciated. And I hope everyone is doing well this fine weekend. It's very hot in the UK. Apologies if you can hear my aircon. It's literally blasting next to me. I'll move it slightly so it's not blasting directly into my microphone. You tell me if that's too distorted. Will personal hangers be implemented in 2023? It's not currently a listed feature of 2023. I hope they are. It makes sense that they are, but when I talk about personal hangers, the first implementation of them is likely just going to be a UI improvement. So literally being able to store cargo in your hangars and have your hangars registered as its own specific location. So you'd have your hab and your hangar both separate on the UI. Yeah, so more section of that. Physicalized hangers is like the step beyond that. I'm giving them more physicalization and customization. But I'd expect that we'd get the UI sort of stuff first, and then move on from there. And I would expect that this year, but I'm not sure. They haven't said for certain. Do you plan to buy a new home in the next 12 months in real life? I might buy my new townhome in about 1 year from now. So that's what I'm currently thinking. So I'm currently looking. I'm currently house hunting. In the UK, markets are interesting because inflation is very high, and the interest rates keep on going higher and higher, which means people aren't able to afford mortgages very well. I've got a reasonable amount of just sort of liquid money, that is specifically for a house that I've been saving up for. So it affects me a bit less. So it might be a good time for me to buy as house prices sort of come down, and they might be coming down. There might be a very minor house crash that's already started, but I sort of have to wait and see. Yeah, over the next 12 months sounds like a reasonable time that I'm looking to purchase a house. Is there any... Also, the interesting thing with me is that I can sort of move anywhere in the UK. I prefer to be in the south where I am at the moment, or the opposite end of the country, near Leeds. So Leeds or Manchester. I've got lots of friends in Leeds, pretty close to Manchester. The reason I want to be in Manchester is because it's sort of central of CIG activity. So I'd go there much more regularly. Leeds is very cheap. It's one of the things. Nottingham was another place, just because I've got friends up in Nottingham and I quite like Nottingham as a city. But I'm looking around. Is there any more news about player-built bases? Did anything come up under Bar Citizen? So, no one there that I was talking to, the Bar Citizen I was at in Manchester, was base buildery. I talked a lot about missions, new missions that are coming out, including some of the ones that were revealed or talked about more in Inside Star Citizen. There's Elliot I was talking to quite a bit, and got quite drunk with by the end of the evening. So nothing really new on bases at the moment. So base building is going to be a relatively big part of Star Citizen. It's not something you have to do, but you'll be able to build without a Pioneer. The Pioneer is more of a mobile factory and allows you to build more at a base more efficiently, and sort of at a larger scale. Hyper Monkey, thank you very much for the bits, genuinely appreciated. But we don't know anything new with the base building stuff. We do know that they're building lots more stuff with the Rastar tool. So in 3.20, you probably should see a load more towns and villages and loads of points of interest. They built like loads more and very unique. And each one's going to be unique and quite high detailed. Do you think the Hull C will have a working tractor beam when it comes out? It's possible, though they haven't listed it as part of their 3.20 feature. So I've talked about this a few times before with ship scale tractor beams. It's possible they'll come out with 3.20. It looks more like they'll be in the patch afterwards, but it is possible that they'll be for 3.20. Along with 3.20, I also think it's going to have a few extra cargo overhaul updates too. So I sort of bear that in mind. Thank you very much for everyone joining me. It's genuinely appreciated. What do we got here? Let me pop this out. Out the chat. That work? Chat back in. That work? Oh no. I've deleted chat. Don't worry, it's fine. How'd you sleep? It's moderately hot at the moment. I've got an aircon though, so it's okay. I occasionally have the aircon on for a little bit as I go to bed. Did you know? This might be an internet fact. That your body likes to reduce by a degree or two before it sleeps, and then you'll sleep better. Apparently, it's the humidity in the UK at the moment, or in England. When do you think we'll see hacking? They've been building hacking out gameplay-wise for a little while. I think we'll see some missions which make use of some very limited hacking, and that may be patch after 3.20. I'm reticent to say 4.0, just because what if we have a 3.20 3.21. It's a possibility now, isn't it? But I think we're pretty close to hacking in game. So hacking looks to me that there's sort of, you have hacking chips and stuff like that, but there'll be other ways to hack, and it comes up on your UI, and it looks like a pipe game at the moment. Is what they sort of were chatting about, but we'll have to see exactly how that all works out. Have you oiled your blade recently? P.S. I got my Evo invite. Congratulations, getting an Evo invite. It is more of a chore than a privilege, I'll tell you that. So, Ivocado members, very hand-selected early testers by CIG for patches and stuff. There's Ivocado things happening at the moment that I'm not allowed to specifically talk about, unfortunately. How do we have persistence for basically everything except for missions? If I log off, I should be able to have the same mission when I log back on. I agree with you. I think that is coming when we have Shard Affinity and they sort of are starting to push towards getting server meshing in. Totally agree with you. I think what it is because effectively that mission is kind of volatile at the moment. But I think we're very close to having more stabilized missions. And be able to have them sort of progress, better progress with rep, but also log on, log off, be part of the same mission still. Mission progression, mission saving. What? So you're Manchester Bar citizen, but failed to say hello, too busy, failing to win a freebie lol. Well, it was good to see you in the crowd then. Feel free. So I'll definitely come up to more Bar Citizens and Manchester or whatever. Feel free to come and say hi. Even if I'm sitting down chatting to people, say hi. Always willing to say hello to pretty much anyone. Do not be afraid of me. Unless I'm drunk. In which case, be prepared. What happened to the comlinks tab on the launcher? It looks like it went down and is not working properly. There was some problems with the launcher recently. I'm not sure if that stuff's coming back up when it's coming back up. Hopefully that'll be there again. Hull C, really looking forward to the Hull C. Hull C is part of 3.20. It's got over 4,000 Alpha UEC, SCU of cargo, which is awesome. It's adding loads of new sort of cargo gameplay to the game as well. So obviously it's much larger scale of cargo. So it was 8 caterpillars worth of cargo it can hold, which is a lot. And if you purchase sort of cargo when you're in a station, when it's compressed, you'll have to go outside the station, contact the ATC, expand your ship, and then go over to a cargo loading area, and it'll load your cargo on. And so I'm interested to know if this is going to be the start of times and costs associated with loading, unloading, which will be really, really interesting. But could we get ship scale tractor beams at the same time? It's possible. We don't know. I think it's looking less likely now, because I think they'd be talking about them a lot more, but it's still possible. What day does the Foundation Festival start in July? That is a good question. I do have the Foundation Festival up on my tab. Looks like 7th of July? The tutorial contest. Create your best video for the Foundation Festival by July 10th. I'd expect that it's around then it starts. Foundation Festival. Throughout July is the Foundation Festival, rewarding players that are helpful and do tutorials and stuff. Yeah. Don't 100% know. In July at some point. Looks like the 10th of July. However, that could well be... Could be the whole of July is the Foundation Festival, sort of roughly speaking. Yes, it's quite possible we might be getting larger servers, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll talk about that once we know more. And obviously some of the Ivocado testy stuff I can't really talk about in too many details. But Planet Pim already always testing new things. Do the updates to hacking and data have anything to do with the Mercury Star Runner gameplay? Probably not. So, data as cargo, that's what you want with the Mercury Star Runner for the most part, right? So that allows you to have data on board your Mercury Star Runner, on board your Herald. Now, there is another level that the Mercury Star Runner they've talked about with, is how you get some of that data will be interception transmissions maybe and that sort of stuff. So that's a more evolved version of data as cargo as well. So first, there is cargo. Is that something that could happen quite soon? Maybe. They haven't talked about it much, but as far as I understand, it is mainly just a bit of gameplay and the UI for it. But UI are one of the most bottlenecked things. UI is one of the most bottlenecked things in CIG at the moment, as far as I'm aware. What happened to Titan suits? Remember the Titans. So Titan suits are still going to be a thing. They're being worked on for Squadron 42. They've been playtesting some of the stuff with them in White Box previously, but I don't know where they are with Titan suits at the moment. Well, actually, we read that they were doing a load of their rigging stuff in a couple of months ago with the monthly report. 2-3 months ago, they were talking about rigging the Titan suits. So they are still working on them. They're just not giving us much information about it. My biggest gripe to Star Citizen is no radar on markers. We have radar in 2023, so why do I need to locate something like a spaceport with a naked eye? Yes, so I want better star map, mini maps, radar that's very good passive, especially when it's known locations. So known objects like space stations and stuff that you should know where they are, and friendlies, very easy to spot on a radar. That's what it should be. And then active radar, bit different, more combat situation-y, but... And then scanning updates as well beyond that. So these things are coming. We just don't know when. What else have we got? We have persistent anti-streaming, but what would actually be useful for my game character is to spawn back in my mole at Daymar after a crash. So, that's an interesting one, because sometimes crash recovery works, and sometimes it doesn't, right? Yes, 100%. I want to, with an 100% success rate, be able to log back in where I was at a crash, and I want to be able to log off and then log back in with mission progress saved as well. As long as there wasn't a mission timer. What are the major roadblocks left regards to AI pathing and general behaviour? So, a lot of that stuff is very refined for Squadron 42, and actually they've been working on a load of it for the Persistent Universe as well. But it's, as far as I'm aware, it's getting the server tick rate stable and actually the AI to act like they're supposed to. So a lot of the tech is there, and a lot of the development is there and ready, but they haven't connected the two. They need to improve server tick rates so they're nice and stable. I think they were talking about increasing the tick rate potentially as well, maybe. And so at the moment they try and get 30 ticks, but servers degrade and they get a sort of erratic tick rate, and that makes AI act as not as intended. And that's something we've had for a problem with Star Citizen for ages. I've got to say, as a Titanfall 2 fan, I am hyped for Titan suits. Do you play the North Star mod for Titanfall? I occasionally jump on, play some North Star, and jump off, and then forget about it for like a couple of weeks, and then go, oh, Titanfall 2 North Star, absolutely great mod, and sort of revive the Titanfall 2 community. Do you think they should reduce the amount of AI and players on each server until we have server meshing? So it's an interesting one. It depends on what you want from Star Citizen. If you want to play it now in the best mode as possible, that's not necessarily the best thing for development and pushing stuff, then maybe you do want smaller servers and much more aggressive PES cleaning. Yeah? So I feel like there needs to be 3 sets of servers running all the time. So you have a live build, which is the best possible the game can be, even if it's got sort of some reduced settings. So yeah, 50-player servers and a really aggressive PES. You'd have that on the live servers, and then you'd have the PTU, which would be 100-player servers, less aggressive PES, some experimental stuff for missions, that sort of stuff. Yeah, and then you have the Evocati, which is like 500-player servers and mad testing. Maybe that would work better with Star Citizen, because then people could choose how to play and where to play. Because people play Star Citizen for very different reasons, right? At the moment, the game is alpha, which does mean that wanting to play it as a proper game at the moment is sort of like butting your head against a wall, because there are going to be wipes, there are going to be terrible random bugs. You might not have a bug for a few play sessions, and then suddenly your ship disappears with all the progress you made, or something like that. And you get swallowed up by the ground, or the tram just suddenly kills you when you've got all the stuff on you. Do you think the Arc Star Map being down for so long has anything to do with the Star Map updates? So it's possible. So Clan Imperium talked about this. Basically, they said, I believe it's going to be fixed for 3.20. They had a database issue. There's some form of issue, and they went, "Oh, we're updating." Let me find it. In my notes somewhere. The Arc Star Map's broken. Hi, we're aware of the issues with the website Star Map and the telemetry pages. We encountered a bug with telemetry in 3.18, which includes 3.19, and this should be resolved for the release of 3.20. The Star Map has also been similarly reprioritized, and we're going to fix out ASAP. So the Star Map is getting worked on. They don't actually have a data on it. Telemetry page for 3.20, assumedly Star Map for 3.20 as well. And they haven't given us any more updates on that beyond. I did ask CIG at Bar Citizen, and they talked to me about it a little bit. I think he basically said you have to talk to Turbulent. But there's an issue they're aware of, and they're trying to fix it. Hopefully it shouldn't be too long. I don't remember what was said, but there was vast amounts of alcohol going on. Congratulations on becoming a concierge, Davo. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a terrible thing. But congratulations, sir. You monster. Or monster salute. Have they said anything on persistence with ship screens? That is going to be a thing. They've talked about it a few times. And they keep on sort of suggesting they're working on it or whatever, so don't know when it's actually going to be in game. I'd hope that'd be particularly soon, especially with like the importance of ship customization. With the Hull C coming and the cargo refactor, so we've had some of the cargo refactor already, but there is more, yes. Will we be able to set additional waypoints to try and avoid pirate ambushes along known trade routes? So, there are things coming along in the future that will allow for that for sure. So Star Map updates, the change of the master modes with quantum boosting. There will be the ability to set waypoints sort of in between areas, just sort of loosely and casually, wherever you want, as far as I'm aware. Set your own routes and go that way. We just don't know when that stuff's coming. Well, obviously they're working on those master mode updates now. Thing is, game is already really good and fleshed out, so having the option to just have a stable server. So yeah, this is a lot of people's problem, right? So for example, Jumptown 2.1 is running again this weekend. It's currently running, yeah. And a lot of people just want to play Star Citizen in its most stable, in its gold standard state, so with as much stuff they can put in while being as stable as possible. Now, CIG are trying to develop a game, and they are trying to put as many features as they can in and push those features in, but also maintain stability. And it's this really weird balancing act. It's very complex because it's this waterfall, agile, weird sort of chucking at sort of different development styles at each other, and reprioritizations, and it's weird. And so maintaining this alpha live development while also trying to make the game as polished as possible. So yeah, Star Citizen genuinely, when it works well, 3.19.1 is pretty good. Don't get me wrong, it's genuinely pretty good. But when it works well, it's great. Like and it's got a lot of content there now. And if it was really stable, a lot of big content creators, I suspect, would be playing it and going, "Wow, they've come a huge way." And they've come a huge way is they want stability, they want performance, they want the game to not crash or weird bugs to happen. That's the main thing holding it back from it being played a lot more mainstream. But they'll get there. Cloud Imperium do need to push features. They do need to finish off a product within the next, I'd like to see Star Citizen 1.0, actual live, fully fleshed out in 5 years, right? Like, I want that game. I want it. I don't want it to be another 10 years. I can't remember what I was talking about then. That's went off on such a tangent. But whatever I was talking about, I'm right. Do you think the passenger transport missions and the E1 will release within a year of the release of the C1 or the A1? So they've previously worked on some taxi missions. They are working on the dynamic universe and more get the NPCs to move around physics grids and stuff more readily. So they can go on board ships now. They can understand a ship's interior. They can exit ships. And I think we'll start to see more and more missions using that. And I do think we'll see taxi missions within a year. I'm not sure to what sort of scale, though. It would be very basic, the first sort of iteration, right? Do you think server meshing will be partially live this year? Maybe. They could have potentially a server meshing light in testing by the end of the year. It would be very, very light. So it looks like they're prioritizing Pyro over server meshing at the moment, trying to get that in our hands. Does mean they're still working on server meshing, and it probably means that they're going to get like if they release 4.0, they won't have full static server meshing. They'll have just sort of steps towards it and a division of effectively loading into another server when you go through jump points. If we're heading to 4.0, how many iterations do you think we'll see? Good question. 3 years worth? Yeah? I think we'll be in 4.0 for about 3 years. And I think some point during 5.0, the 5.0, 5.x branch, we'll see a beta. That's what I think. But my random predictions, take those with a bloody pinch of salt, I'll tell you that. How long do you think jump point travels will be? So we saw an example of them at CitizenCon 2019, and when they had that gameplay demo, and it was like a minute or so of actual travel. So I think it would be depending on the jump point in question, and I do think that Clan Imperium are still iterating on exactly what they want there, and when it's in this universe, they'll change and iterate on it as well. And these are some of the towns and points of interest and stuff that I believe are going to be a part of 3.20. Loads and loads of little, once they've made the Rastar tool, the Rastar tool will be made player-facing in some way in the future, so that we can build bases with it. Do you actually think we'll see any races show up in game? So we know there's the Tavaran, the Kurthak, the Xi'an, the Vandal, Banu, the Assyrians. You get hides of them in game at the moment. So there's a few races that we're aware of, and they'll all feature in the game in some way. There's obviously going to be alien animals as well. Will there be additional aliens beyond that? Almost certainly eventually, right? They'll sort of have weird encounters. I don't think we know much about how jump points are going to work. Cal and Vim have talked about it multiple times, saying there might be sizes associated, so only certain ships can use certain jump points of certain sizes. They might be dangerous, they might require some form of skill, they might be auto-navigable. There's loads going on. We don't exactly know how it's all going to work. And it will evolve. So. You should wear a body cam at Bar Citizens for prosperity. It's not a bad idea. Also, when I know I'm on camera, I'll actively drink less. Sketo, I'm glad you're doing well, sir. It's nice after months to finally have some stable gameplay. Hey, bud. Hello. Yes, 3.19.1 is pretty good. But is jump down 2.1 going to cause some server issues? As far as I'm aware, it hasn't yet. But well, let's wait and see. Any additional ones anyway. Like, there's stuff happening. There's stuff exploding in game. It's an alpha. Any thoughts on some recent threads about all new missions being combat focused? Thanks for the congrats. Only taken since 2015. That's good that it's taken you a long time to reach $1,000 in game. That's more sensible purchasing. Although, even more sensible would have been just buying a starter pack. No, so they're talking about those more combat focused ones because they share assets and that sort of stuff. There's going to be other missions which aren't necessarily combat focused, or there might be less combat focused versions of those missions in the future. I think it's fine that they're more combat focused though, those ones. Like they're building out those new platforms around Orison. They want to use their sort of extraction missions. They want missions where they can get more players to do multiplayer things together, right? And the PvE ones, you don't need really to do them in groups as much. You don't need to do them multiplayer, is what I'm sort of saying. Do you think Star Citizen will have anything in-game happen during CitizenCon? It's quite possible. Even if it's just minor. There'll be stuff. So it's a much bigger event this year. So it's a 2-day event. Tickets more expensive. They've looks like they're pulling out all the stops for it. I do have some more CitizenCon information, actually. So, it was 100% confirmed that watching the show from home will be entirely free and available on the Star Citizen Twitch channel. There will be a digital goodies pack available to buy for those not attending, similar to the previous ones they've done. They're sharing more information about that as they get closer to the event. So, we'll be able to purchase the digital goodies pack. There might be some stuff that is very much event exclusive, though, if you actually attend, so bear that in mind. Do you think there might be missions or anything during CitizenCon? It's possible they'll run an event. It's possible they'll have some stuff, because they've got expo halls in-game. They could have some cargo-based things that are CitizenCon-ish. The thing is CitizenCon an in-law event? It's not really, right? It's a fan celebration out of game. It's not like the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. It's not like Fleet Week. So, do you think the Pioneer will be redeployable or one-time use space thing? Redeployable. It's a mobile factory. The original plans for it were that you could literally build outposts in it and then plot them down and then also pick them up and move them around or repurpose them. So expect that on a potentially bigger scale or with more variety. They basically said you don't need a Pioneer to build a base. Pioneers will be very good at building bases more efficiently and allow you to do more at a larger scale. Very much not a one-time thing. Perfecto question. Will there be more testing regarding future patches due to the bad launch of 3.18? So, they tested 3.18 lots, and it was working pretty good on the PTU. It broke when they put it onto the live servers. Okay, and that was for a variety of different reasons. And hopefully we won't be in a situation like that again. It is possible that we will be in a situation like that again with server meshing, both static and dynamic. But hopefully Clan Imperium will test a bit more and have some live deployments that they can roll back if they have to. Yeah. Because it's not appropriate for the game to be as broken as it was for 5 months, right? It was 5 or 6 months that Star Citizen, or 5 months that Star Citizen was pretty broken for. At least 3. Hey, Bod, do you think CIG would implement an auto-orbit feature? Maybe. It's possible that you'll be able to tell a pilot, like an NPC pilot to auto-orbit, or a blade to auto-orbit. So maybe. They do want Star Citizen to be relatively tactile and hands-on with a lot of stuff. I don't think that will be everything, though. I want to be able to get in my seat without having to wait for my friend to finish the animation of getting into the turret. So they expect something that allows for interrupts and sort of ignoring other people's animations to be a thing in the future. I totally get what you mean. It's like a queue system almost, and it doesn't feel like there should be. What do you think of the virtual AI that CIG has been talking about last inside Star Citizen? So let's see where we go with it. Let's see where we go with Imperium's sort of AI updates, the dynamic universe stuff. I want to sort of need to see it in my hands because there's a lot of talk about stuff. We don't know when it's going to be fully implemented or even first implementation. I'm really, really excited for dynamic universe sim stuff. It's important for like bounty hunting version 2 and all that sort of stuff in the shorter term too. Do you reckon there'll be more like Argo salvage ship? Do I reckon there'll be a salvage ship in between the size of a Vulture and a Reclaimer? Maybe. I think it's more likely that we'll get modular salvaging to allow other ships to do it at that sort of scale. But possibly. But yes, so 3.19.1 is running pretty well. I think I've been able to play a few play sessions of it with no crashes, just genuinely great gameplay. No sort of problems, no bugs even that I've noticed. It's probable that there are bugs going on that I'm just sort of immune to. Because then I've been able to do a load of treasure hunting and salvage, and I'm going to be doing some more of that gameplay and then chucking it into some videos. Really enjoyed the Bar Citizen. There was a big Bar Citizen in Shanghai? Yes. Giant Shanghai Bar Citizen. Apparently 1,500 people or so turned up. So that's absolutely massive. And there was Aaron Roberts and John Crew, Todd Pappy, and they all turned up there as well. Apparently it was an absolutely fantastic event. So the Bar Citizen stuff is doing really well, and their world tour. What else do we have? So Jumptown's running at the moment. So people interested in Jumptown. I suspect there's a bit of Jumptown sale on, almost certainly. Let's read more about Jumptown. So it starts on... Jumptown ends on the 26th, so it's quite a short Jumptown. I suspect there are Jumptown ships and vehicles on sale. Yes, there are. There are 13 on sale at the moment. The Ballista and the Hercules, Andromeda, the Cutlass Black, Gladius, Mercury, Nova, Prowler, Redeemer, as Rover, Valkyrie, Hoplite, and Warden. some assault packs, some FPS gear. Interesting. Okay. Quite like the red alert pack, although I would like something more in yellow. Black and yellow. Very, very much test colours I like. White and yellow. I appreciate all the kind words. Thank you very much. And hello to Brazil. Will it be worth to learn alien linguistics given all of the resources CIG has put in developing the language? So, there will be levels of auto-translation or clues in game, whether or not you learn the language. Learning the language allows you to translate some of the lore stuff, sort of the banning messages they send every year and that sort of stuff. Sometimes you might have to win some little prize stuff being able to do that. In game, learning the language may allow you to translate something more accurately or effectively, or give you clues to Easter eggs or extra missions and stuff like that. So if you could learn the language, it is going to be beneficial for you in game in some ways. Not sure how beneficial. 3.20 is where they update Arena Commander and Star Marine, right? Yes. It's a big chunk of 3.20 is Arena Commander and Star Marine updates. Do you think Starfield will rival Star Citizen? What are your thoughts? Well, Starfield, I've got a video on this. Starfield single-player game, much more like sort of Mass Effect, No Man's Sky, Fallout, all sort of crossed together. So I think it will be a gateway for players that want a multiplayer experience with Star Citizen. So they're both in space. They've got Star in the name, but they're very different games. There are some similarities. Obviously, sort of Starfield much more focused on exploration, some solid but basic combat, good ship customization and base deployment. So it's very No Man's Sky in that way. And does No Man's Sky rival Star Citizen? Well, I suppose in some ways, yes, it does. They're games, though, that people can play all of. And any game that's coming out now isn't really going to rival Star Citizen when Star Citizen's actually released. I do think they're literally gateways for more players to get in. There's someone that wants a multiplayer experience. They're going to go to No Man's Sky or they're going to go to Star Citizen at the moment. And I'm certainly going to be playing Starfield. Wasn't there a vote on one of the Citizen Cons recently to decide the manufacturer of a mid-sized salvaging ship? Or am I recalling incorrectly? Was it a mid... It might have been... Was it an Argo? Maybe you're right. No, I think you're right. There was a mid-sized salvage ship. I think it was... Argo. Search my notes. I think you're right. RSI. Yeah, so it was it's for a... Was there a mining ship? It was a mining ship, yes. So it was in between the Orion and the Prospector, right? Or the Mole. It was in between the Mole and the Prospector. No, it was in between the Mole and the Orion-sized mining ship. And it was going to be closer to the Mole in size because of how big the Orion is. Gotcha. Large mining ship. Thank you. Melted my brain out because I was like, it does sound like something they do. But no, this... Do you think CIG will be watching Starfield to see... Hi again, Bored. How it does for Squadron 42? I mean, yeah, to some degree. Of course they will. Especially the most recent one with the Murray, to get pledges, as it's feeling like the game is getting more pay to win. Debating on selling my ships as I don't want to start with overpowered. Thanks for this live. Thank you very much for the message. So, again, Bored, was curious about what you thought about CIG using FOMO, fear of missing out tactics, especially the most recent one with the Mirai and Furies, I suppose, to get pledges, as it's feeling like the game is getting more pay to win. Debating on selling my ships as I don't want to start overpowered. Multi-crew ships. Love you. Appreciate it. I appreciate the comments. So, CIG's monetization model, is it predatory? It does, so in some ways, yes. So it uses artificial scarcity and FOMO tactics to generate this level of hype for ship sales. I still don't think it is pay to win. It has elements of pay to win in it, but it is not pay to win by the definition of pay to win. You will be able to get everything in game, and time and you playing is going to be much more of a factor. You actually playing the game than putting real money in. Yeah, that's gonna give you the bonuses, and also you could always just help with someone else's multi-crew ship, right? So you don't need one of these like super expensive ships, and you get everything in game. So if you don't like CIG's monetization model and it's FOMO, or you don't want to start, if you want to experience the full range of the game, starting with the starter ship and then going up, great, do that. Do what is right for you. Do I think you need to buy anything more than one ship for a starter ship? No, you do not. You can just have your starter ship. If you want more ships, you can't afford them, join an org and help crew those other ships or borrow them off other people. But you'll be able to get everything in game. You can get almost everything in game now. So the pay to win argument, it does depend on how you define pay to win. Because if you say you can pay money to have any form of advantage is pay to win, then yes, Star Citizen is 100% pay to win based on that definition. But if you're talking about, is it something that you can pay to get an advantage that gives you an overwhelming advantage, or an advantage you can't get without money, then no, Star Citizen is not that. Feel free to disagree with me, or have your own opinions on that. It's very much depends on how you define stuff. So, thank you very much for that, Exodus, for that sub and for that question. And also, do what you think's right. Like with your ships, if you want to start with a starter ship or just one ship, do it. Then have more money, right? Sell the ships, get more money. Ooh. Thank you very much for the question. Genuinely appreciated. Is there going to be crafting mechanics in Star Citizen? Yes. So there's going to be base building, there's going to be levels of crafting, but we're not 100% sure what. And we know they're going to be able to make some stuff with sciencey, researchy stuff on the Endeavour and other places, sort of like compounds and that sort of stuff. Obviously with salvage, you can refine stuff. There's refining. There's factories that are going to be taking stuff and actually making things. And there is going to be some level of player crafting. We don't know to what extent. It might just be very basic. It might be all the way up to munitions, components. It could be even ships. So yes, what level we don't know. Any update on the next ship to get gold standard treatment? They're working on a few at the moment, so I don't actually know. Boxers or briefs? Probably boxers. I'm wearing boxers right now. Well, you can't tell because you never see below my waist, right? I could be an octopus down here. And some ladies think I am. I don't know what that means. With the game being in an outer state of testing, when do you think it will move to beta and then full release? 4 years, 5 years, sort of ish. It's my current expectation. Do you have a question if you're too positive about Star Citizen when it comes to up with multiple issues, false promises, and lack of transparency? So, okay. What it is with Star Citizen, I really enjoy Star Citizen, and I've been covering it for over 9 years now, I think. I really enjoy it. I like it on paper, and I like the project warts and all. So I kind of like the drama, and I'm aware of it. I've got lots of friends at CIG, and I don't feel like I'm overly captive by them. Like, they do send me free ships occasionally, but they are literally no strings attached. I get to ask what I want and that sort of stuff. And I get to criticize CIG on things I want to criticize them on. I'm pretty reasonable, and a lot of the time... so, CIG, it's a slow development with Star Citizen. They've got stuff wrong in the past. They don't always hit the mark with stuff. They've got erratic sort of support when it comes to giving us development information. However, it is still the most transparent of any project there has ever been within the sort of AAA realm, right? I'm not going to say it's the most transparent project, because you have like someone at college that has a very transparent thing, or like entirely open source games. But AAA wise, and even anywhere near the high end, most transparent game studio, most transparent project, with a huge amount of development information coming out really regularly. So let me actually find the question again. I've lost the question. Bear with me. So false promises. I don't see much. They have done some stuff that they've rolled back on, but I don't think that's sort of like stuff they've intended. There have certainly been things that CIG have missed the mark on. 100%. I'm not arguing with that. But I think a lot of people say that as like they maliciously misled you. I don't think that's the case. I do think that they keep on changing and iterating, and that there's sometimes their development's erratic, and sometimes they say one thing like there's not going to be a wipe, and there is a wipe because there needed to be one. I think a lot of people will assume that their development and what they've got planned and what they show us, sort of like this is what I got planned for this patch. That's a promise. That's not a promise. With Star Citizen, assume everything is in flux and nothing is a promise. They are now I've resolved. There's no more promises. That's basically what they do say. I don't think I'm overly. I'm pretty bullish on Star Citizen. I do really enjoy it. I do think they're going to. What it is I trust them to be able to do it eventually, and I don't mind them taking their time for it. But if you do mind them taking their time on it, and you don't trust them, we have a very different outlook than I do, right? With 3.20 focused at the moment, any chance the Santok UI and Spirits will get in for that in an update or the 3.19.x? So I expect them to see. I expect them in 3.20. I would expect to. Well, I think there's a strong likelihood that the Santok UI and the Spirit C1 and A1 will make it into 3.20. Just want to say thanks for all the updates and news. You're my main source for Star Citizen info. Keep up the great work. That's very much appreciated. Thank you. What are your thoughts on strong anti-air systems for base building? I really like the idea. Sort of things that make it hard to hit or not shoot ground targets. Sort of anti-air interception devices. I think that are great because that means that you have to assault these locations by foot or in vehicle, and you don't have like these super dominant air combat stuff. Or you've got to go into the sort of the village and take out the turrets or the anti-air sort of systems or their radar or whatever. Cough, the Vulture not pay to win. No, so the Vulture very much at the moment it's CIG should have put that in game for us to be able to use by now. The fact that they are keeping it for 3.20 is really annoying. It should be in 3.19.1 and potentially should have been in before. So I think that, yeah, they should have put that in game to buy. That's not pay to win. That's them being a bit idiotic, in my opinion, especially with the salvage stuff. Like, unless you buy a Vulture, you can earn a Reclaimer in game, but that's much less likely. So, yeah. The Vulture definitely should be one they put in game. I don't mind them having a 3-month exclusivity period, really, on these ships when they become flyable, because it's part of their monetization model. Okay, yeah, and it's not like the game's live at the moment. It's sort of very much in testing. But when they're trying to test salvage, and it's been over 3 months since the Vulture was made live in game, we should have it. But they're trying to test salvage for heaven's sake. So, yeah, I do find that annoying. It's a very tone deaf of CIG. Events like Jump Down and stuff would benefit from anti-air systems. Totally agree. 100%. I think they make them much more interesting, much more fun. And even if they're destroyable, have them so they're repairable. What happened to the Theatres of War mode, and do you think we'll see it again? It was really fun. So, yes, in some form. So, probably in the Theatres of War form, or an experimental mode. So, 3.20, big updates to Star Marine and Arena Commander. A lot of the stuff like the Tonk Royale and stuff will make use of the Theatres of War stuff, and you're going to see more and more gameplay modes that basically start to face in Theatres of War, from how I understand it. Do you think we'll see a rank system, i.e. badges for each that can be put on armor to increase your rep with each mission? I think we'll see pins and badges and stuff like that you can probably put on to customize your armor or specific armor for getting up rep. What about ground gameplay mechanics? As much as I like flying ships, there needs to be more to do on planets, in my opinion. Yes, so there needs to be more reasons to use vehicles on the ground. There needs to be more missions, more mission types. Yeah, they're building that at the moment. They are building into that. Totally agree with you. At the moment, use a ship for almost everything, right? Are you not wearing pants? I will not justify that with a response. Also, a maybe. Right, so. I'm really enjoying 3.19.1 at the moment. Sin and I are going to be doing a load more sort of content on that over the next couple of weeks. Sort of actual gameplay. And we might even do some live streams on it. We'll see what happens. It is a bit hot in the UK at the moment, which does affect my live streams. It was too hot for me to stream yesterday, for example. Elfwin, thank you so much for the sub. Genuinely appreciated. And thank you very much for anyone that has given us bits subbed on Twitch or YouTube or Patreon. That's genuinely appreciated. Donations are also always welcome. I like money. Do you do gin and tonic cups? I'm not a massive fan of gin and tonic. Although I do want to buy some Pims now that you've said that. Ha! Huh. I only really drink socially as well. Otherwise, no alcohol. Right. So, I'm interested to know people's sort of experiences with 3.19.1 and Jumptown over the weekend. So feel free to message me about that on the Discord. There is a Tobii eye tracker thing going on at the moment. At the bottom of my videos, you can find links to that. It's 15% off Tobii eye tracker 5 at the moment. So check that out with my links. What else is there? Is there anything else major happening at the moment? No, we're sort of waiting for the Foundation Festival to happen. Jumptown's on. And CitizenCon. Looking forward to CitizenCon. Probably won't be going there in person. Might, but probably won't. 2-day event. I'd probably prefer to cover it from home and then get some videos out on that. But yes, I've lost my pen. It's gone miles. Just flew away. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to find someone else that is streaming. Bear with me. I'm going to send you over to my boy Salty Mike. I love him. Slash Ray. Oh no, what have we done here? Perfect. Yeah, genuinely, thanks so much for watching. It is appreciated. If you've got any feedback, you can get me at contact@boardgamer.co.uk. I'll see if I can get any Banu Tholo codes. I've got like I think I've got one extra one given to me by someone else that was at the event. One or two. I'll have a look at my bag and see if I can give them out on my channel. We'll see how that works. But we'll do that at some point probably. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the questions. Genuinely appreciated. And go and give Salty Mike some love because he's a beautiful boy. Right. See you soon. Take care and have a great weekend.